Abdullah Jacob Idris Alhaji, Sam.
Call. They are walking.
Abdul Latif Dan Ablukma Central. Abu Salam Ada New Edubiasi. Samuel Okujeto Norton. Abuaji George Asini Aproso Manso. Abuaji Kojo Yampong Biakuye. Abdul Lariba Zuera Wale. Ajam de na TV. Ajam Boss, Lower West Akim. Ajam Richard, Bia East. Kwaku Sophia Karen Eden. Domia Bra Ogbo. Alexander Akim Ogan. Adam Hamza Prof. Tumbugu.
Honorable members, if you are not voting, please be seated.
Adam Mohammed Amin, Doctor, Canada. Adams Kofi Idi Buem. Eddie Jedi Safore Ayensuanu. Manso Edubia. Adam Frederick, Upper West Akim. Ejekwa New Duabin North. Eje Akwesibwati New Duabin North. Adumaku Mensa Alex Doctor Secretary Farm Place. Adumaku Mensa Collins Efijako Abin North. Adongo Isaac Bokatanga Central. Edu Johnson Kweku Ahano Southwest. Edu Chum Yao Osei Doctor Busumpi. Avenue Martin Alexander Kwamina Efutu. Eric Amanfi West. Eric Amanfi West. Afrifa Mensa Kosu Amasaman. Free Nana, you doctor. If you are serious, sorry. Every year, doctor, Sefili Osu. Agaga James, Bruce Arnold. I got him as your pay. I will just Kwame Dobbins at that crew. A Japan Ken Asin Central. A Jerry Alexandra today. Emmanuel Pajo, Granza South. Ajimamenu Kwaku, Doma Central. Ajima Senator, Doctor. Lotte College. Ajeni Mbwati Kwaku, Brekum West. I am Kingsley Carlos, Tema West. I am quite credit your German look. I hear something boarding. I have not. I can't see south. Area Oreku, if you jump at south. I can't do a parliament to Aboso. I can't worry about Lydia Lamisi. Tempani. Actually, Samuel Atam, a Buakwa South. Alazuga Albert Akuka Garu Al-Hassan Abdullah Idi Saladan North Al-Hassan Bashir Hussein Al-Haji Sanriku Al-Hassan Lydia Seyram I also West Warborn Alaute Angela Ofurewa Afajato South. Amangwa Nicholas, Amenfi East. Amangwa Menu Kofi Kwang. Amon Peter, Hohoy. Jeremy Kwesi, Sunyani East. Amwa Osebu, Ukraine South. Amwa Stephen, Doctor, Ishiayesu. Amwaku Andrew Esiama Fomina. Amwaku Kwesi Etiwa West. Ampin Thomas Nyaku, Eso Jaman. Ampo Kutumesi Kwame, Sene West. Sapon Kofu, Mampong. I pray Emmanuel J. at Manga Via South. Any Moses, trouble, another preference is the one that we agree. Entry Eugene Boachi, Subin. And you may do entry Kwame. Asante Achim Central. Apart Clement Abbas, Doctor, South. Apiaje Patricia. So, boss.
PK.
Let's walk it. Happy and the Kwame, Asante Achim North. Ama Prince Hamidu, Doctor. Westminster. As a Marvin St. Upon Doma West. Asante Kwejo Suhum. Asante Boate Kweku, Asante Achim South. Asensu Kwachi Francis, Bantama. Asiama Isaac Kwame, Tumampo Mwa. Asiama Pabena Mankwa Frontier kwa North. Asiama Eje Nana Amadokua. As a province center for Otafo. As a province center for Otafo. Atamil Samuel, Commander Edina Iguafu Ibrahim.
Please.
Avejide Kluche Ketul North. Avocat Cletus Apu Zebila. Ewa Ignatius Bafo Sunyani West. Ewuni Teresa Ladi Ukaikwe North. Ayamba Ladi Ayi Kusiga. Ayada Mama Boku Central. Aiko Benjamin Nate Lejukuku. Ayine Dominic Bogatanga East. Michael Otre, you drive in south. Baba Benson Tongo, Talensi. Validi Bright Bachi Yalvi Dr. Ambushi. Bandin Azuma Abedebu Bunkurubu. Banding Azuma Abednego Bunkurubu. Daniel Patrick, Executive North. Batel Sheila Manok. Basua Philip Kumewu.
The Speaker, the Honorable Bucks is on his way coming. He is on his way coming. So when he comes, until then,
Baldwet, Bangary, Bongo. The July Emmanuel Kwesi Whole West. Betino Joseph Swaman. Blanson Alex Akufo-Addo. Wachi Henry Yadon Tia. Wachi Yadon Patrick, Dr. Obuasi East. Wama Patrick Yao, Central. What is a question that was only for home? What is a mapoma do I? What if Joseph appear a Franklin South? Obi Evans Opoku, Esunafo North. Both Daniel Okre. Mohammed Bawa, Edura Secretary. Bua Emmanuel Amakofi Elembele. Bukari Joseph Dipe Sabuba. Chinaya Edu Isahaku Sisala East. Teragia Samson Tangomu Navrongo Central. Chiwati Andrew Dari Solatumaka. Branson Abreku Etumfi. Could you come for do you, Adan? Kujo Joseph Ifia. Kujo Robert Wisdom, Christian Honey Valley. Papa me call Roxy Nelson Eche Kwame Sadai. That's Ada. Kapila Kretu Seidu, Jirapa. Gakutan Yohini, Upper Dentra West. Gapa Notri, Takradi. Dauda Collins Alhaji, Esotipik South. Dawuni Abukari, Williams. Dawuni Abukari, Williamsi. Derry Andrews, Nandong. Jonobo Alex Tete, Sejua Kontumra. Donko Elvis Morris, Abra Sebu Pamankesi. Donko Kwabna Doctor, Crew East. Duka Tapa Nswayem. Iyanana Gumwa Central. Fort John in team, Reverend Asin South. Force in Castle Atuba, Ijumaku Enyam Siam. Gata Kwame Gujoli, Teta. Frimpon Joseph Nkoko. George Samuel Nati. Nimbo Brown. Gansa Lasan Kobna Esukuma Robin Brapa Gate Joe Esikako Kitan It is wisdom, Karachi East. Gomado Yao Akan. Gomashi Abla Jifa K2 South. Jemfi Emmanuel Akwesi Odotobri. John Alexander Kintampo South. John Mensa Richard, Dumwa West. Hamon Kobna Taher, Adansi Asokwa. Anson Norte, Tema Central. Haruna Wenchi Hayford Ophelia Mensa Zanziman Otoji Alexander Roosevelt. Ibrahim Ahmed Tan. Ibrahim Mutala Muhammad, Tamale Central. Tamale. Ibrahima Zuera Mohammed, Salaga South. Idrisu Habib, Tolong. Replacement. Replacement. Idris Habib, Tolong. Idrisu Haruna, Tamale South. Gambaga. John Zabdugu. Jaja Yusuf Isaka, Ayawa no. Jaja Yusuf Isaka, Ayawa so no. Jalula Stephen Bambi, Kuru West. Just so Godfrey say to doctor, why is it? Jinapo John Abdullahi, Yape Kusebu. Jinapo Samuel Abdullahi, Damangu. Kenny Jeffrey, Nkoko South. Kese Dixon, Adomako Doctor. Anya so to Konadu apet Mensia North. Come see how I know this. I want to Senya East. Professor Martin Akufo-Addo Mensah, Legiman South. Kodo Benjamin Komla, Whole Central. Kum Ebenezer Kojo, Ahanta West.
Members, our colleague Honorable Kum is present, but you know his condition, so he's not able to move to ballot box to vote. And so I gave a guide as to handle such a situation. And the chief whip of the majority, the chief whip of the minority, plus a staff of the table office will move with the ballot paper to him at his seat to indicate is this an item brought to the world. So please, whips, he is seated at my right side, just as a backbencher behind.
Kuma John Ambotura, Dr. Ejisu. Kuma Joseph Kwame, Kintampo North. Young Solomon, Krachi Ntumuru. Krachi Abiao, Memphis Central. What in Kwajiman, Obuasi West? Kofi Festus, the one doctor, Upper Dentura East. J. Mensah Bonsu Osei Swami. Chairman Nelson, Breakup East. Ladi Oscar Ofori, our win. Ate Agnes Namumu, Rowa. Lewa Oscar. Nyonyo. Mahama Asek Seini, Daboya Man Asiya. Mahama Nasser Toure, Ayawaso East. Double Francis, I have a north southeast. Emmanuel, Doctor, very Marvel Kofi Ahinkura, Chiasi. Mboba Thomas, Tatale Sangoli. Mensa Betty Nana Ifua Crosby. Front block. Mensa Francis Private East. Mensa Isaac Ajay Wasa East. Mensa Joseph Kwesi, Nkranza North. Mensa Tina Gifty na Ayele. Master Andrew Kofi Ejapa, secondary. Morris and Cynthia Mamley at West. Montaka Muhammad Mubarak Alaji Asawasi. Musa Abdul Aziz Ayaba. Mion Naja Sanja Atebubu Amantin Napari Dominic, Senate East. Nawani Mark Ket, Dr. Nabdam. New Mandakua, Uganto South. New Mandakua, Uganto South. Little Dominic Bimbila. Akufo-Addo Mavis, Efija Secretary East. Nogbe Kofi Akpo, Evaluate. Norbert Henry Ashiama. Nochu Koto Peter Kwesi Akachi no. Intim Nsuta Kramandi Posu. Intim Augustine Collins, Finson North. Toswell and Karachi West. Nyankote Albert Tete, Dr. Probo. Akufo-Addo Tete, Apamanya Probo. Nyanko Kingsley, Prof. Badaso. Nyanko Bamina Mincha, Dr. Cape Coast. Obin Techi George na Manso Kwanta. Obin Mwati Alfred, Ebiani Anyaso Bekwai. Okululinda Obiniwa Apele, Shai Osudoku. Isaac Ashai, Tema East. Ofosua Jare Elizabeth, Techiman North. Akufo-Addo German South. Ochopami Kofi, Fantiapa South. Oboku Davis Ansa Mbraisu. Oboku Eric Esunafo North. Esunafo South. Oboku Isaac Dr. Ofinso South. Upon Kuma Kojo, of Wasia Yubi, Osai John Frempong, a brain. Osai Kennedy Nyaku, a chimso brew. Osai Abena, Tiwa East. Osewusu Joseph. Oti John cannot bless. Not. Otutai Christian quality. Owusu Bio Benito. Owusu Akufo-Addo, Ablikma West. Page just on the graft, Gomora East. To Abdul Rashid Hassan, Nowa Central. Grandpa Frida Akusua, Dr. Tano North. Grandpa Machi Opoku, Dr. Menshia South. What Henry, I was so central. St. James, as in North. Ramadan Mohammed Adamu Adenchan is Hagen George Cape Coast South. Safo Sarah Ajua, Domiko Abenya. Sandari Sebastian. Sani Suleiman Adamu Afuano North. Sani John Kobra Abam Abua Mpoho. Soya Queensta Mami Pokua Aguna East. Save Richard Kwame Amron. Secretary Benjamin Yebua, Dr. Thanos South. Dozo Francis. So Adela Adua Pando. Rita na Odole Dade Kutupola. Suparu Adams Mohammed, Sisala West. Suleiman Adam Tay Time. Suleiman Al-Hassan Tampuli Chegu. Suleiman Yusuf Bole Bambwe. Suma Anthony. Tahiru Abdurazak Tripoli. Terry Augustine Dr. Bia West. Tel Aviv Ebenezer Oglete Loa Manyakro. Tete Joyce Lee, North Dying. Tete Sylvester, Botian English Amafro. Tete Agotri Gizela, Ewutu Senya West. Tete Joseph Akwete, Kumkatamansu. Tete Joseph Akwete, Kumkatamansu. Toffee Docas, Jomo. Togo Peter Lanseni, Wa West. Tufer Mohammed Hadi, Nantong. Chum Gifty, Abuakwa North. Chum Berma Paul, Abraku, Doma East. You see, Yagaba Kabore. Vanderpool Alfred Uku Ablikma South. Vanderpool Ebini Lanti Udododiodu. Bondi David TD. Wakao Daniel Usala Pandai Reku Brobe Bright Himalu Wadentura Will Mekobna Mensa South Tom Big Zim àwọn ọ̀tá Laura.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Speaker, I gave an indication that one of our colleagues, the Honorable Philip Basura, was on his way coming to the House. Unfortunately, the indication I'm getting is that he's not able to get here on time. So I guess we can move on.
Honorable members, we have come to the end of the voting. As I directed, the 2 ballot boxes will be brought to the table office and empty on top there for all of you to see them next before we start the collation and counting. So officials of the table office will have to move up, pick the ballot boxes, and in the glare of all of you, open them and pour them, mix them before we start the collation, as you say, counting and collation. So please, kindly do that now. Either the same agents are those that will be mandated to be the tellers at the table. Both sides of the House, are you authorizing the same agents to represent you? All right. Deputy Whips, please. Open them. Please be sharp. I'm sure when I'm talking, you don't listen. Please mix them. You don't understand how to mix. Yes, Honorable Majority Leader.
Speaker, I was going to propose that given the complexity of the system, because it's going to be very difficult to sort them one by one out. Because of the system of voting, we require at least two persons, two members, to be on either side, so that they're able to follow what is being done. So if you can get one more to either side, I think it will be better.
I gave the caucuses the opportunity earlier on. You didn't take advantage of it. So you can nominate one more from each side to assist the earlier agents. It's allowed. Yes, some people have volunteered already. I can see Honorable Dafiamapo and then Honorable, is that OPK? Minority Leader.
The Speaker, I think it's fair. The Speaker, because of the system of voting, 6 people on one ballot, and it will mean that it will require some sorting. So, the Speaker, they will sort it first. No, you have to do rather tallying. So you do the tally. So, the Speaker, I think 2 people will be able to assist the clerks to tally effectively. Thank you.
Now, Thank you. of the entire process. Sky, you're welcome to the CTT.
Thank you very much, my brother. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
Good.
So we know that counting is ongoing, but as a former parliamentary correspondent, what does this entire process mean to you?
Well, I think it's a way of deepening our democracy because ultimately the Constitution requires Parliament to give prior approval to ministers who have been nominated by the President. What the Constitution doesn't say is how prior approval should be done. But in the case of J.H. Mensah versus the Attorney General, the Supreme Court took their own view and explained what exactly needs to be done to satisfy the constitutional requirement. Parliament was to go and put its own house in order and determine how the whole thing about prior approval would have to be done. And then we have, over time, developed this, process of meeting the constitutional requirement and then also satisfying Parliament and the people that the right things have been done. So they were vetted, the report was laid in Parliament, it's been debated, and today MPs are making the all-important decision of whether or not to reject or accept the nominations of the President. What I'm picking up from within the two sides is that it would seem that the nominees will scrape through.
But previously we had the Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyomarkin proposing that it is obvious that they have 137 of the numbers in the House, whilst the minority has 136. So, if possible, there should be a consensual approval of these nominees. But the Speaker, in his directive, felt that it wasn't the appropriate thing to do. Why must we even go through the secret vote in all?
Well, the reality is that if you look at it, the Parliament doesn't tell us how exactly it should be done, but the constitutional requirements are implemented further by the rules of the House. So the standing orders make it clear that when it comes to election of people, necessarily it has to be by a secret ballot. Now, he was trying to argue that, well, if you could look at it closely, election is not the same as approval. So let us interpret approval to negate the requirement of election, which election is the process we are seeing here. You understand? But the traditional approach that we have always used in this House is that where the House's report suggests that it should not be by consensus, but by a majority decision, then necessarily there has to be a voting in the form of secret ballot. Do you understand? So if that traditional approach is anything to go by, then there is no need invoking the constitutional provision and arguing a new approach that should be used. I mean, that what he was arguing for was alien to the practice of the House, and clearly there couldn't have been any adoption of what he was saying. That was exactly why the Speaker basically said that he was engaging in filibustering, and he overruled him, ignored him, and went on with announcing the process for voting to begin. So what he was saying clearly was to introduce an entirely new way of doing things in the House. Clearly, the practice and procedure of the House does not support that position, and I'm not surprised that the Speaker, overruled him.
So during the voting, we realized that two of the majority members, that's the Kumewu MP, Philip Baswa, and then Addo Asafo MP for Don Kwabena, were not in the House to cast their votes. Is this in any way going to affect the majority?
Well, the signals I'm picking up, of course, I mean, it's still subject to confirmation by the Speaker. My indications are that they will most likely scrape through. We would wait and see what the Speaker would say. Of course, the absence of Addo Asafo in the House, it's of course a blow to the majority side, but my understanding is that they prepared for that possibility. And then also the Chieftaincy Minister former was hauled in with an ambulance to come and take part in the process, so he's here. But then there was one other member of parliament from the majority side who we are told also had a health emergency, meaning he had to be, rushed out for some attention. You have heard the majority leader indicate that they were expecting a member from their side to come and vote. Unfortunately, he didn't turn up. Of course, those would necessarily go against the majority side. So if you were to take those out, then you say that they will be short by 2 votes. That would mean that they have moved from 138 to 136. So if all the members of the majority side vote for all the nominees, then you should expect that they will get 136. But then also, you know that the NDC side, there are people with issues with the current leadership and the imposition of what I see. Okay, let's go back to the chamber, because
we just realized that the speaker is about speaking, so we would move to him and then hear what he has to say.
Please resume your seats. Resume your seats. Honorable members, I'll start mentioning your names.
I will not mention specific names, but there are people who have gone on with their relationship for so many years, sometimes since childhood, sometimes from school days. So the question is whether, if it comes in for consideration, a person who is so close to the friend, virtually his brother or his sister or her sister, would say that I am voting against you merely because the party says so. It's a question that they themselves must answer. But as I have argued elsewhere, I believe that when party lines are being enforced the way they are being enforced across the two sides of the political divide, it would seem that we are making our MPs stooges. Make your case, stake the party line, and allow members of parliament to go and make their decisions, whether they are voting for or against, because ultimately it was not the party that brought them here. The people in their constituencies voted for them to come and make decisions for and on their behalf. And none of them went back to his constituency to seek the mandate of the people, their views that, oh, we are considering X number of additional ministers. What's your view? Do you think that we should vote for them or we should reject them? None of them did that. So they are all towing party lines without having to actually consider the fact that they are not here on their own. So you would naturally expect that those relationships will be playing on the minds of members of the minority and then members of the majority. Like I said, the signals that we have picked up so far seem positive for the nominees, but that's not for me to say. It's for the speaker to make an announcement. As to whether all of them will go through, it's another matter, but the signals thus far suggest that it will be a positive outcome for the government.
Yesterday we saw the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, in the public gallery. Today we've seen the general secretary of the NPP, Justin Kodia, also in the house, as well as the NDC chairman. Is this in any way going to influence the vote that has been cast?
Yes, I know of specific measures that both sides have put in place to ensure that at least some or a good number or all, that was the initial attempt, but of course there are people who are defiant, at least indicate what choice they are making in the ballot box. Of course, that defiles the sanctity of the constitutional and the parliamentary procedure that the vote should be secret. But that's where we are. It will come down to whether you can prove it that a member showed his vote in one way or the other. My understanding and things I've seen tell me that there's remote electronic communication of choices that have been made by way of some proof to the leadership. I would, for good reason of both sides, say that both sides are giving that or they are insisting on that as a way of showing that yes, you are following the party line. But my understanding is also that some members of parliament have been defiant. They do not think that that is the proper way to do it, and so they refuse to communicate what choices they made in the booth, which is basically consistent with parliamentary procedure and the constitution, because when the vote is to be secret, it has to be secret. There's no requirement for you to show your vote through electronic means or to communicate the same through other means to the leadership of your party or leadership of your side in parliament. But I think it's going to be an interesting outcome. One thing I see is that if the NDC prevails in this vote, then what it means is that the leadership of the party has been able to enforce the party line, and their will is what would have prevailed at the end of the day. But if they fail, what it also means is that they showed their hands too early and sought to control something that they have no or absolute control over. And that will be embarrassing. Again, for the governing side, if it emerges that the government side loses, then it's a huge slap in the face of the president and his government. To a large extent, it will be a referendum sort of in parliament on the government's performance thus far. That's how far I'm prepared to go. And then also it will send a certain signal that the MPs have specific concerns about government expenditure and then the size of government, because that is what every Ghanaian is talking about, that we are having to bear the burden of you coming all the time, pay new taxes. Taxes that have been scrapped are to be reintroduced. Businesses are being targeted with new, levies and taxes. We do know of the fact that the government is currently in China with the finance minister seeking to get some relief from the Chinese in terms of the amount of money we owe the People's Republic of China. That has been used by the European states as a basis upon which they will, if we're able to get China to play ball, they will also forgive us some of our debts, as to make it possible for us to have some relief, and then also go back to the IMF and say that, look, we have been able to restructure our debts through debt forgiveness and many other measures, and then our own domestic debt exchange program that we have done with the additional revenues that we hope to raise. And so the IMF should support the program that we have. Because all of these things are happening, Ghanaians are also insisting that, look, the size of government is too big. Reduce the size. Thus far, the president is not yielding. So a lot of people are angry, and it would seem that that is a position the NDC wants to capitalize on and run away with it, because it is a popular thing to do. People are justifiably angry. The government is sort of failing to deliver. They promised that with the numbers that they brought in to office in the first term, they were going to deliver the mandates that they were given in a way as to make it possible for the Ghanaian to realize that the NPP is the best possible choice there is politically. But thus far, it would seem that they have not been able to perform that responsibility in a stellar fashion. So Ghanaians are angry. So if you still have a huge size of government, there is no justification for it in the eyes of many people. And that is why they insist that reduce the numbers. And so the NDC has sought to capitalize on that. And then also is hoping that the people from the majority side who have called for the removal of the Minister for Finance, and given the fact that the president has thus far not yielded, they would sympathize with the NDC position and use their anger at the system, reflect that in the way they vote, and slap the presidency in the face. The question is, would that happen? Whatever it is democracy that is at play. Win or lose, Parliament would have made a decision, and it will be up to the people of Ghana to go back to the polls in 2024 and reflect on the quality of Parliament they elected in the last election. Because we had hoped that the very delicate nature of these numbers would help us at least stop certain excesses of the government. But thus far, it would seem that the government is having its way.
If it turns out that some of the minority members end up voting in favor of these nominees, do they stand to be punished in any way?
Well, you see, that's what I said. You see, the only way you can punish a member for voting against the party line is to sponsor a candidate against him in his constituency and defeat him. Or you should have some sound basis in law to disqualify him from the race to seek re-election. It is a very difficult thing to do. Mind you, there are MPs who are here who can go independent on their own right and win in some constituencies. It is not true for all of them. So, if the party wants to punish people for the choices they make, you also would have to recognize this fact that if the person decides to go unopposed or go independent, as we saw with the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, defied the party line, went independent, won. He's in Parliament now. The MPP had to go back kneeling to him now and begging him to transact business with him. Now, yeah, that's right. Now he's in Parliament as second Deputy Speaker. He's in Parliament. He's the second Deputy Speaker, working with the majority. So that is one fact that the party would have to recognize if they have to even go that hard. The second reality is also that you first of all must know, as a matter of certainty, that a particular person voted against the party line. Yes, I have indicated that there is in place, or there was in place, a way of getting the members of Parliament to communicate their choices to the leadership of the party. Some have done it. My understanding is that some have been defiant because they didn't think that that was a proper thing to do. So if you don't know that the people voted against the party position, how are you going to punish them? Of course, those who refused to communicate or who did not communicate the choices they made, which I argue is consistent with the party, the constitutional provisions, and then also the rules of the House. The party can say that because you refuse to communicate that, although we will not take you on frontally on that matter, would use other excuses to take care of you. It's a choice that the party has to make. But the fact is also that if you don't treat this matter cautiously, you will lose future votes in the House because the person is in Parliament until the next elections. And then also, as I said, the person can decide, look, I'm going independent, and either you lose the seat or he will win it. Or maybe the candidate you put up will go through. But whatever it is, it will not be good for the unity of the party ahead of the 2024 election. So that's why my approach ordinarily would have been, if you disagree with a new nomination, as many people in Ghana have, put out a statement, say you reject it, tell your people to either stay away or allow them the free will to exercise their judgment the way they so want. At the end of the day, it should not be like people here in Parliament have become stooges and are jumping merely because the party says so. I think that is not good for our democracy. It is not good for the judgment of the people who voted for them to come to Parliament, and it is also not good for the image of the MPs themselves. I think that is wrong.
The question would be that if these nominees fail to secure the approval required, what happens? Are they going to be changed? Is the president going to nominate new ministers that would also have to go through the vetting process and all that?
Well, if you look closely at the rules of the House, when a motion is defeated, you cannot bring it back until the next session. So once that rejection is done, it would then be a question of whether the president will have to make new nominations different from these ones, because substantially, if you bring these people back, you are bringing the same thing back. But what the clever thing, I believe, which will be technical in law to do, will be that, for instance, if Brian fails to make it, you can renominate him, but make him minister for some other position. So maybe finance or security or something. Because in that case, although it is the same person, the technical argument, brilliant legal argument that will be argued or made is that he's not coming for the same position. He's coming from for a different position. So he should be reconsidered and a decision taken on the merits of his qualification for that position. So the way I see it, if they are rejected, those are the two options left to the president.
Will this affect government business?
Okay, so what are the issues? First of all, Alan has resigned from Parliament, from government, to run for president. So that position for now is vacant, although we have a caretaker minister in the person of Abu Jinapo. So it is not like the government is not running. The government is running. Abu Jinapo is performing that role. But the president thought that K.T. Hammond should come and fill that vacancy. So it would be a substantive minister occupying the position, not someone performing a caretaker role. Then you also have Edu Buahin, who was also fired. He was fired because, for some reason, he was caught up in this Anas matter. It's a Minister of State position. It did not require the president to really refill that position, but somehow he decided to. So Honorable Dr. Amin Anta is being nominated for that position. If that doesn't go through, I don't see how that would necessarily affect the performance of government. Then you have the Honorable Edu, what's the name? The former Minister for Agric, Dr. Akoto, what's the name? Dr. Akoto, Ifri Akoto. Yeah, the Ifri Akoto. Yeah. So Ifri Akoto is left government as Minister for Agric. The point is that he is leaving government on the basis of what? He's doing so on the basis of going to run for office as the President of the Republic. It would take, first of all, go through the primaries, and he will go through the primaries, and if he's lucky, become the presidential candidate of the MPP. The point about it is that someone else, in the person of the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Kaswa area, he's forgive me, listeners, they don't want to. So the point about it is that at the end of the day, the president has made decisions. Those decisions are being debated here in the House. A decision will be made. When a decision is made, we will know whether or not they will go through or not. But I don't see how that will necessarily affect the performance of government if they do not go through.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. You heard there Richard Skyde, former parliamentary correspondent for City FM and City TV, sharing with us his perspectives on the voting that is ongoing on the ministerial nominees of Akufo-Addo in Parliament today. Counting is still ongoing. Issues rectified by leaders for both sides of the House on the outcome of the elections or the vote that has been cast. So we wait for the Speaker of Parliament to speak on what the outcome of the election has been.
At long last, collation of votes ascended. Collation of votes ascended. The register had 275 eligible voters. 3 voters were absent. So 272 did exercise their franchise. The results of the voting are as follows. Honorable K.T. Hammond, 154 yes, 116 noes, rejected 1, and 1. Honorable Brian Champon, 167 yes, 98 noes, rejected 4, abstentions 3. Honorable Stephen Asamoah Boateng, 147 yes, 122 noes, 3 abstentions. Honorable Muhammad Amin Adam, 152 yes, 117 noes, rejected 1, abstentions 2. Honorable Osei Bonsu Amwa, 149 yes, 120 noes, abstentions 3. Honorable Dr. Stephen Amwa, 146 yes, 123 noes, 3 abstentions. Honorable members, the House has accordingly approved the nomination of the following persons as ministers and a deputy minister in accordance with Articles 78(1) and 79(1) of the Constitution. They are Honorable K.T. Hammond, as eligible appointment to the position of Minister for Trade and Industry. Honorable Brian Champon, as Minister for Food and Agriculture. Honorable Stephen Asamoah as Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Honorable Mohammed Amin Adam as Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance. Honorable Osei Bonsu as Minister of State at the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. Honorable Dr. Stephen Amwan as Deputy Minister at the Ministry for Trade and Industry. Honorable members, on your behalf, I will congratulate the Minister designate for earning your appointed by His Excellency the President to the ministry aforementioned. Congratulations. Before we can think of honorable members adjourning the House, we have one very important item to be reconstituted into a committee of the whole to consider the formula for the District Assembly Common Fund. The decision in connection with the other nominees in respect of the judiciary will be taken on Tuesday. Majority leader, yes.
The Speaker, just to take us back to discussions in your holding room this morning. The firm agreement that we came to was to finish first with the voting on the ministers and deputy minister nominee, and thereafter move to vote on the justices of the Supreme Court nominated. Mr. Speaker, the common fund formula did not come in at all. With the greatest respect, the common fund formula did not come in at all. So I'll plead with you, Mr. Speaker, let us continue with the justices, and when we finish and there's space, and we need to deal with that one, it's good. But with the greatest respect, Mr. Speaker, let us not alter what agreement that we came to this morning before coming in. Because we don't know about it. With the greatest respect.
Well, I was not at this morning's conclave, and so the First Deputy Speaker presided over that. But as I presided, I was getting instructions, and I'm acting presided. I don't want to mention your name. Please, Minority Leader, you are up on your feet. Deputy Minority Whip.
The Speaker, in fact, we are all politicians. All politicians with this kind of elaborate process. And the Speaker, we were going to concede to you because, yes, it's true, the administrator for this assembly has been here since morning. And you got him. So if you know you cannot accommodate her, the Speaker, that is a lighter way. But for the voting, we started around 4:30. It's almost 8 o'clock. If you have to start now, the Speaker, by 12, you may not be able to complete. The Speaker, considering that, I don't think we can. If you have to start now, the Speaker, by 12, you may not be able to complete. The Speaker, think that, I don't think we can continue with the voting process today. The Speaker, we will call upon you. If the lighter of the work cannot be done according to what our saying, then we can take adjournment for the day and go. No, because we have been lost. Have you ever lost election and continue working? When you lose the election, you have to go and reflect. You know our condition. So, Mr. Speaker, with this, they know, empathize with us more. So, Mr. Speaker, we are calling on you to let us take adjournment for the day, then go. You know our plight. You are all politicians. Some of you have lost before. Some of you have won before. So that is our position. That is our position. We were supposed to, even some of our colleagues were mourning, we brought them here for morning. That is almost 8 o'clock. And you are saying we should continue with this voting process. Once you start, if you don't complete, you cannot translate it. So leader, we beg you, go back and let's wait for the day. Speaker himself has been here since yesterday, he closed very late. So the house is in your hands, the Speaker. We are calling on you to take adjournment. If the lighter of the work cannot be done, that is our position, the Speaker. The Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, it is true that this morning you did not preside at the conclave meeting. At conclave, the position taken by the majority was that we should take the vote together. No, they would want us to take the judges after the ministerial vote. Mr. Speaker, when we came to the House, I again repeated my application. Thereupon, you sought the views of our colleagues and that of the first Deputy Speaker who presided. And he did confirm that indeed these were the views. Speaker's directive. Mr. Speaker, accordingly, if I may attempt to quote you, you then concluded that your decision is for us to take the ministers first, that we proceed with the judges. And Mr. Speaker, you did indicate to the House that the ballot papers were ready.
we could not take the two at the same time. Mr. Speaker, in your own words, we should finish the first one and the second one. We come to the second one. Now on the British Assembly Common Fund. Mr. Speaker, with the greatest respect, I represented my boss, the majority leader, at the conclave meeting. He mandated me to represent him because he had some other engagement. Nothing, Mr. Speaker, nothing was said about this Common Fund formula. Nothing was said. And Mr. Speaker, maybe it is on the other paper. I will check.
It's not there.
I have gone through the other paper. There is no such thing. Rather, what we agreed on was that if we are able to take the second vote and we have time, we will start the financial bills. Mr. Speaker, and you and I know you are so much interested in ensuring that these financial bills go through because of its other implications that, Mr. Speaker, you have discussed with us. And the minority leader and the majority leader are both privy to some information that our external partners gave them on the need for us to deal with this matter. So, Mr. Speaker, as far as our side understand, we are to take the judges. When we are done, we proceed with item 3, being the financial bills. One is at the third reading. So it's a lighter work for us. So, Mr. Speaker, I shall conclude by inviting you to hold that, having agreed to proceed with the vote on the justices of the Supreme Court, the nominees, we should, Mr. Speaker, proceed because, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President's communication to the House was in July of 2022. The report was ready as far back as December 2022. We finished our work and our standing orders provide that after 3 days of the report, we should proceed. So, Mr. Speaker, I think that on all fours, you are fortified to hold that we proceed with the vote without more. I thank you, sir. Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Mr. Speaker, for the avoidance of doubt, the Honorable First Deputy Speaker, who presided in your absence, and he did indicate that you had instructed him to sit in for you. He is right here, and I call him as my principal witness. I thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, one more point. Mr. Speaker, one more point. Mr. Speaker, if the voting will take a long time, we are the masters of our own rules. We can go by consensus. So which will take 2 minutes. We can go by consensus, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let's go by consensus to make the work easier. We can go by consensus.
Yes.
By consensus.
Come in. Yes.
We can amend the vote.
You were not against the judges. You didn't even call for vote.
Actually, I listened to the debate. That debate doesn't give the impression that the House wants to vote by consensus. I listened to the debate. I was in my office. Unless you have changed your mind, and that one you are completely entitled to. You are entitled to change your mind. Honorable members, it is true I authorized the First Deputy Speaker to chair the conclave, to comment meetings of the day, but I was very clear in my directive to him that I was going to handle the voting system. And he went according to that, and told you here that I did indicate that I'll come to preside over the voting. So I am not amending that. I am not amending that. It's only the information that came from some of you, particularly leaders. Drew, are you a leader? Honorable Minister for Communication, Honorable Minister for Communication, you may have to change your seat because you've been getting on my nerves too much. Please, 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 please. Enough is enough. Please. Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, may we proceed? May we proceed? Since the decision is that we will handle only the two items, there was no discussion in connection with Common Fund. When I was present, the Common Fund administrator came in to the conclave meeting a number of times. I indicated that she was here for to handle her Common Fund. I was there, you were there with me in the conclave. And so as we continue with the voting in connection with the ministers, she sat throughout up to this time. Then a note came from the minority side, drawing my attention to her presence and the fact that that was to be considered today. Please, 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 you are here to guide me when it comes to procedure. And so I listen to you. And from what I get, I try to take or make decisions. And I give you the opportunity. I don't impose it on you. I give you the opportunity to make contributions. And that's what we are doing. So let's be prepared to listen to each other. So this is what led to the directive I gave. If you have changed your minds and you want us to do it by consensus, then we can proceed to do that. But if we have to go through the voting that we have done already, and you are prepared to sit till midnight, I will have to suspend sitting for some time. Because I can't continue till that time. That I must be very clear. The first law of nature is self-survival. If I'm no longer speaker today, Parliament of Ghana will continue. I am not prepared to die now. My 100 years haven't come yet. My 100 years haven't come yet. So please, if you want us to continue, we'll take a suspension. Yes, Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the report of the Appointment Committee on the judges was presented to this House even before I became a leader. Mr. Speaker, the position of the Appointment Committee then is that there was no consensus. Mr. Speaker, you heard the debate of the appointment committee this afternoon. Clearly, members of appointment committee expressed their reservations about some of the nominees. Mr. Speaker, as a caucus, our position has not changed. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, there is no consensus as elaborated by the Honorable Muntaka when he spoke. Mr. Speaker, so on that basis, we are in your hands. We know it's past 2 o'clock. Mr. Speaker, looking at the time now, it's quarter to 8. Quarter to 8. Mr. Speaker, we are in your hands. It's past 2 o'clock. But we will leave it to your judgment for you to guide us as to how we should end the day. Mr. Speaker, I'm of the view that we will need at least 4 hours to go through the process. 4 hours, between 3 to 4 hours. And that will take us to midnight and beyond. Mr. Speaker, I urge you, if you can, to adjourn, and then we'll come back on Tuesday to continue the process. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Speaker, first, to reiterate the point that I made, that the decision that we came to in the holding room in conclave was that we'll do these 2 decision-making today. The Speaker, it is the reason why, when you came and you said we should do one after the other, when I proposed that we should put the 2 together, you said no, we should do one before the other. For which reason you went forth to advertise the ballot for the judges. You showed everybody. Mr. Speaker, that's where we are. Now we have been told that you had a note from leadership. My side of this house was not part of it. I saw something being written on the back of one other paper, and it was transmitted to you. The Speaker, didn't come from us. It was not part of the agreement. I saw that they were writing here, and they transmitted it through Mr. Jetro to you. The Speaker, that cannot be tenable. When we agree together. And if we have to sit down and maybe, Mr. Speaker, draw again, fair and fine. But it cannot be that something is smuggled to you and it's made to appear as if it's coming from leadership. Certainly not from
Majority
leadership of the
Majority Leader, I was not expecting you to go this tangent. As I presided today, you equally sent such messages through people to me. You did send notes to me through the same sources, using the same order paper, yellow. Why are you referring to one and trying to behave as if it's not fair? Don't do that. Please, what you said from the very beginning is right. What I stated this morning, which you have referred to, you are right. But none of us anticipated that there will be so much intervening circumstances for us to delay up to this time. We didn't anticipate that. And you are aware of some of the reasons why we delayed. That is why I'm referring to the notes that were sent through me. We don't have to go to that extent because we need to confide in each other. So I don't want to go to that tangent. Please, I handle both of you impartially. I listen to both. You pass notes to me, and I take them into consideration in taking my decisions. I don't want us to try to undermine each other's integrity. That is not correct. Let's do our work as a family. We need each other to be able to transact this business. This is not the end of our sitting. We will continue, and there are more important matters before us, and we need to work together to get those things approved. Please. Yes, you can continue.
The Speaker, I'll just say that because you have said that leadership had communicated to you in respect of dealing with the common fund, I just wanted to send an indication that that communication did not come from my
Yes, I stated that it didn't come from your side.
Having said so, Mr. Speaker, I would want to remind of the initial discussion that we had. I know, as you have indicated, you must be exhausted at this time to go and refuel and come back. Mr. Speaker, so you're calling for a suspension of the House. If we have to do that to clear this one, that is the decision on the justices, so be it. But that one should be put in abeyance again. Mr. Speaker, that would be a difficult decision for us. And I'm pleading with you, if you have to adjourn, suspend sitting for maybe 30 minutes for people to refuel, that could be done. In any event, if it is only the decision making of voting, Mr. Speaker, as you indicated to us yesterday, that the ruling from the Supreme Court has settled it all for us, that where there was doubt, now the Supreme Court has come with its own ruling, which is the effect that deputy speakers, when presiding, can vote. And Mr. Speaker, you drew attention to us of this matter to us yesterday. So, if it becomes necessary, one of the deputy speakers could be in the chair once you go to refuel, and then we do the voting. The setting up will be done, and we will do the voting. On the other hand, if you want to suspend and be in the chair yourself, Mr. Speaker, we can suspend for a short while and come back and do what is required of us. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Yes, Minority Chief.
Mr. Speaker, you were, first of all, you were very right when you said there was an understanding that the Common Fund Administrator would present a report to plenary, to Committee of the Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, my colleague, the Majority Chief Whip, invited us to meet with the Common Fund Administrator to prepare her to be in the House today at the Committee of the Whole to consider the formula, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, we saw the Common Fund Administrator here since morning. There was no need for us to even discuss that further at conclave today. That is why you saw her there. So when my colleagues are saying that there was no understanding to take the Common Fund formula, that is not true. We met in the Chief Whip's office, and then we said that the Common Fund Administrator will be here, Mr. Speaker. So you were right when you got that information, Mr. Speaker. I listened to the Majority Leader saying that you could leave the chair for one of the deputies, Mr. Speaker. The fact is that, okay, Speaker can take a rest. What about us, the members of Parliament? Can we find another person to come and replace us? Mr. Speaker, there's nothing wrong if we adjourn and come back on Tuesday. We have, in fact, at the conclave, Honorable Bua reminded us that whilst we tabled the two motions on both the ministerial appointment and the judges, I remember him saying that, do you even know when we will complete the first item, let alone be thinking of the second and how do you call it, the tax bills? And we said, let's start and see where it takes us. Mr. Speaker, it's almost 8 o'clock or 8 o'clock. The point we are making is that we have far gone beyond at the acceptable times that we can start at the big. We are ready to vote, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, I am of the view, Mr. Speaker, that we can come back on Tuesday and consider these issues. So, Mr. Speaker, I can see that for some reason, the Common Fund Administrator has just left the chamber. For that reason, Mr. Speaker, I'm pleading with you, let's take an adjournment, today is Friday, and come back on Tuesday. Mr. Speaker, we are entirely in your hands, and it's about human rights and our health. So, Mr. Speaker, if you decide to adjourn us, you haven't breached any law, you are rather just saving our health so that we can come back on another day and continue the work of this country, Mr. Speaker. That is my point.
Honorable Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development. Is that the name of your ministry?
Right, so, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker. With the greatest respect to your office, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Ghanaians are watching us. And I'm told that people even outside Ghana on Facebook watch us. Mr. Speaker, during voting in this country, there's no doubt that members of parliament belong to the elite in society. We are people who, under normal circumstances, should understand better voting procedures. In this country, when we are voting, we vote for parliamentary and presidential at the same time at the polling station. People are giving ballot papers, they vote for presidential, after that they vote for parliamentary. We watch elections in Nigeria. In their case, they have even 3 ballot boxes. People who may not be able even to read and write, they identify the boxes by either a red color, green color, black color. And we saw it, we watched it. People pick ballot paper, they vote, they go another ballot paper, they vote 3 times. And they dig that. We are in this chamber. I found it very difficult to appreciate the fact that we could not have voted for the nominees for the ministers and the judges at the same time. We are here, we respected your ruling, Mr. Speaker, and you said that we are doing this after that. And Mr. Speaker, you actually went ahead and showed us the ballot paper for the judges one. And all of us knew that if you are taking 6 boxes for the nomination, and after that it will be counted, we knew that it will take this time, and after that we will do the judges. It cannot be the case that we are beginning to know that it would have taken a longer time when we agreed or we rejected the fact that we should do the voting at the same time. So people listen to us. We go through this process. Then after that, arguments come up again that it will take a longer time, which was so obvious from the beginning that that's what we should do. This is the House of Parliament. The people outside should have a great respect for us. And we should be seen to be doing things to conform to that. Other than that, people begin to read meanings to what we do. We respect the health of everybody, including Mr. Speaker. But if it will mean that, Mr. Speaker, we respectfully take a break and we'll continue. I submit to you, Mr. Speaker, that that's how we should do. So that Ghanaians will also know that when we speak in this house, we follow what we do. So if it will mean that we'll take some break and continue the voting, I think we are ready to do that, and that we should be able to do that. So that we'll earn the respect of the entire nation. I submit to Mr. Speaker.
Minister for Local Government.
So after several hours, members of parliament have approved the several ministerial appointees by President Akufo-Addo. But you would want to stick and stay with City TV, particularly at 8 p.m. for the City Newsroom, because we have updates and reactions on this and more stories. My name is Akufo-Addo. Many thanks for your time.